Hello everyone and welcome to another week of the SPL predictions and power rankings. My name is HughZ. As always, we're going to kick it off by diving straight into the EU power rankings, and zero changes this week. So unlike my North America predictions, all of my EU predictions this week were correct 100%. I'm not bragging or anything, but I think I feel like I've gotten kind of where the European scene sits right for the moment. Maybe we'll see some changes later in the week, especially with Eanix and Rival facing off. That'll be a big one for determining this kind of middle area of the power rankings. The big matches still to come is obviously going to be Dig versus Obey and Dig versus Energy. Obey and Energy split earlier this week, so no real cause to move either of those teams yet. Towards the lower end, the Papis, Elevate, and BURRITO, they're going to stay in their same spots in relation to one another. But we'll see in the cross-regional power rankings, there's going to be some movement there towards the lower end of the bracket, or lower end of the power rankings, I should say. But for now, I'm leaving EU as it stands. Looking over at North America now, we're actually going to see a fair bit of movement here. And as you can guess, the major factor in all this movement is going to be Zapman taking a break from Smite. So that is going to plunge Eager down the power rankings to the 6th position. Zapman's one of those players that is almost irreplaceable. He is not only a leader for this team, he owns the organization, though he doesn't necessarily run it himself, but he's such a huge part of Team Eager's success, and I don't know who they're going to bring in to replace him. And that, as well as, Stanford Soccer still not kind of being up to par as well. I'm seeing some rough times ahead for Team Eager. Conversely, though, Team Allegiance has actually been performing out of their minds, getting a 2-0 over eUnited this week, and just really, really impressing not only myself, but everyone, I think, that watches Pro Smite. They got a split against Luminosity earlier in the split as well, and just performing really excellently. By dint of Eager moving down, Monkey Madness and In Memory of Gabe are going to move up a spot each as well. Noble and Flashpoint are going to stay where they are. Noble, though, we'll see where they end up in the kind of global power rankings next, but they're impressing me, but not so much that I can really move them from their spot yet, because whilst you can have kind of impressive performances in games, you need to put the results on the board at the end of the day to make it really count, and at the moment they're just not doing that. Looking now at our combined power rankings, so the first half of the power rankings, the top 8, really aren't changing much, other than Allegiance basically taking Team Eager's spot. Other than that, because this is just very similar to the EU power rankings, given the dominance of EU at the moment, they're not going to change much. Luminosity is going to sit where they are, though I think they and ALG are really kind of the dominant forces in North America right now. I don't know if I can necessarily put them above any of these other Eanix or Team Rival. Eanix face off against Team Rival this week, and I think that'll actually be a big determining factor for me about not only who I put where with those two teams, but whether I move Luminosity up or down, or even Allegiance up or down compared to those two squads. The next page is going to see a fair bit of movement. So Monkey Madness is going to stay where they are, but In Memory of Gabe is going to move up, obviously by the way of Team Eager taking a dive. And then the next team to look at is got to be Noble eSports. So I'm actually putting them above the Papis and Elevate. So as I said before, while Noble haven't necessarily got the results in getting wins in games, they've actually been very impressive in the performances that they have had. And I think this roster is one that just needs a little bit more time to coalesce and come together before they're going to start taking games to some of the teams above them. But they need to get some of those wins. They need to not get 2-0 every time. So I'm hoping there's a bright future for Noble in the near future. Looking towards the bottom of the power rankings is now, the Papis and Elevate, they move down a spot each with Noble ascending, and BURRITO and Flashpoint are going to stay where they are. Alright, now onto our predictions. So we're going to start off, as we always do, with the Thursday matchups. So our first two are going to be EU sets. The first one's going to be the Papis taking on Team Rival. This one should be a 2-0 to Team Rival. The Papis have looked better than I thought they would, but Rival is still a very strong team, and I don't see the Papis taking a game from Rival. BURRITO versus Elevate. This one should be a split, or at least I'm going to call it to be a split. BURRITO's looked a little bit on the rise, while Elevate's still coming to terms with their changes. they have Cheerio there in the jungle, kind of an unwilling jungler, if you guys know some of the context behind Cheerio. So this will be a really interesting one, but I think the talent on Elevate is enough to keep them to have this one as a split rather than a 2-0 to BURRITO. But this should actually be a fairly interesting matchup to watch, and I'm actually very keen to watch this one. Next up, it's Noble versus ALG. ALG should get the 2-0 in this one, given their recent strong performances over a number of teams in the North American scene. Noble just still haven't been able to find a win yet, and I don't anticipate this being the matchup where they will do it. Flashpoint versus In Memory of Gabe. In Memory of Gabe, again, kind of similar to ALG, have been performing quite well recently, been getting some good results. Flashpoint, not so much. So, this one, I think, I'm pretty confident in calling a 2-0 to In Memory of Gabe. The North American scene, though, seems to be giving me some trouble at the moment. It doesn't know quite where each team wants to go and who wants to get what result which week. So, it could, if Flashpoint show up on the day, it could be a split, but I'm pretty confident with it being a 2-0 to In Memory of Gabe. Looking towards Saturday now, it's going to be Elevate taking on Obey in our first matchup. This should be a 2-0 to the Obey Alliance. As I said, Elevate facing some struggles at the moment. Obey still performing very solidly, getting a couple of split results here and there, but still performing very solidly. There shouldn't be too much that Elevate can do in this one. BURRITO versus Energy should be a 2-0 to Energy. BURRITO still one of the lower ranked teams in both EU and across the SPL. Energy still sitting solid, kind of in third place. They split with Obey Alliance. Yeah, I don't know. There's not too much to say on this matchup. It's going to be a similar story with the Papis versus Dignitas, which I'm calling to go 2-0 to Dignitas. I think the Papis have shown a little bit more improvement and a little bit more adaptability and suitability to the SPL playstyle than BURRITO have, and that's why I have the Papis kind of ranked above them. But Dignitas, I think, is the best team in the world right now. They haven't dropped a game. They haven't played Obey or Energy yet, and that's going to be their big test. They haven't played Rival either, but Obey and Energy are going to be their big test. So they've had not the hardest path through the SPL thus far, but I still am very confident that they'll take this one 2-0 against the Papis, and that they'll be kind of the premier team out of Europe this split. Next up is Rival versus Eanix. This one should be a split, or at least that's what I believe anyway. A 2-0 either way will really be kind of determining this top four in Europe. This is one of these two teams is going to be our fourth European team at DreamHack in Valencia. And so this matchup will kind of be a good barometer, I think, for who is going to be that team, who's really getting the drive, and who's got the skills to really succeed when it comes to that matchup to get that fourth spot. But for now, I can't really pick these two teams apart. They both had very impressive results, so I'm going to go for a split. North America on Sunday. First up, Allegiance versus Eager. Well, with Zapman taking his break and Allegiance surging at the moment, I don't see how you could call this anything but a 2-0 to Allegiance. We're not sure who the hunter replacing Zapman is, but most of the premier hunters in North America are already on a team in the SPL or in the Challenger circuit, so I'm not quite sure what Eager are going to do in that regard, but I think regardless of whichever way they go, you can't really replace Zapman, so Allegiance should take this one 2-0. Noble versus eUnited. eUnited had a couple of struggles this week, but against a team like Noble, they should be able to regain their feet and pick this one up 2-0, 2-0 for you Americans out there. eUnited still a very, very strong team. They managed to get some good results against Eager, not so much against Allegiance, but they're still just a strong roster overall. They've still got a lot of talent there, and Noble's still trying to put the pieces together. Flashpoint versus Luminosity, well, should be 2-0 to Luminosity, the top of North America facing off against the bottom. Flashpoint it's going to take a lot for them to win a game this split, I feel like. They could be another Sanguine where they don't pick up a game. Maybe they'll find a split with Noble at some point, or Eager if the Eager roster implodes, but I don't see Flashpoint at this point being able to touch Luminosity. So Luminosity should get this one 2-0. In Memory of Gabe versus Monkey Madness, two teams kind of around the middle of the pack for North America and kind of in the whole SPL. I think this one should be a split between these two. Monkey Madness has got a solid roster that hasn't made any changes. In Memory of Gabe added Kiki So Cheeky, as we've previously discussed. And I think In Memory of Gabe is starting to find some form, but I also think Monkey Madness is as well. They did have to face off against Luminosity this week, which was rough for them. In Memory of Gabe, I'm not sure. Like, both of these rosters I don't see as world beaters, but I still see them as very solid and very strong rosters. And I don't think there's going to be much between them. You know, even if this set is a 2-0 to either of these teams, I think it'll still be very close. And that's why I'm going to call it split, because I can't really pick these teams apart at the moment. Alright, that's going to do it for our power rankings and predictions for week number 3 of the SPL. Let me know what you guys think about the power rankings, particularly the cross-regional power rankings. I'm always interested in what you guys think about that. North America, obviously, you know, with Zapman retiring, waves are kind of rippling through the whole scene at the moment, and there's going to be some big upsets, I think, happening with Zapman departing. So I think that's one major talking point for this week, and I think that's going to be on everyone's lips when you talk about the Smite Pro League. But as I said, let me know what you guys think about the power rankings and the predictions. Let me know if you think I've got anything wrong. I love talking Smite, so make sure you comment on this video or hit me up on Reddit or Twitter or wherever you see this video. Let me know what you think. I'll do my best to respond to you. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.